Welcome back to the Gray Space. I'm Zeke. That is Dre.
Yepers.
And we got another fire interview for you guys this week.
Yes. We are back with another friend of the Gray Space. But before we get started, y'all know what to do. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share. Tell the people to tell the people to tell some more people that you are rocking with the Gray Space. All the audio listeners out there, man, hit us with that 5-star review, nothing less. And if you could do more, I would ask for more, but that's the highest you can go. So 5-star review, let them know you rocking with us, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, wherever you listening. Now, we got a special guest in the building, my guy.
We do. Yeah.
And our guest today is not only a friend, but an entrepreneur whose work is set to change the standards of our culture, especially our youth. You might be familiar with his wife, Shay, whom we've had on the show showcasing United Dance Team. Mm-hmm. Well, he's here to talk about some of his endeavors. As a certified master gardener, okay, let me say that again for the people out there, a certified master gardener. His company, HomeGrown Delivery, is raising awareness and access to fresh produce in areas of need. His work in the community also extends to his nonprofit, Village Community and Recreation Center. He's here to talk about all that and more as he tells his story on the only place stories originate. Please welcome Jeremy McGinty to the Gray Space.
Yeah, man. Welcome.
Having me, man.
What's good, brother?
Same old, same old.
Yeah?
Yes, sir. Trying to get these businesses off the ground and up and running, man.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously we had the pleasure of having your wife come through. For the people out there, she is here. She's in the background, you know what I'm saying? She's in the background. But, you know, we spoke off camera afterwards, and you were like, you know, I got some stuff going on as well.
Yeah.
I had the personal pleasure of being able to come see some of the stuff that you had going on in the early stages. And now it just seems kind of like what that idea is now really starting to blossom, no pun intended.
Yep.
I think it's amazing as, you know, a black man in the community. We talk about food scarcity. We've had plenty of guests on who do a lot of work in the community. You know, come to mind, Brother Tremikas, right? Mm-hmm. Plenty more. And as we talk about food scarcity and the need to be able to grow our own food or have access to those foods in a place like Arizona, specifically in the Buckeye area, but even as you reach out, you know, in some of the Phoenix and the inner city areas, it's super important. So I want you to talk about kind of your idea, how this all started for you, and what made you go that route as opposed to any other route you could have went.
Yeah, so 2008, 2009, we lived in downtown Buckeye.
Okay.
And just decided, let me throw some seeds out there. Well, and first of all, let me go back. So gardening is in our blood. That is our roots for every single, it don't matter, white, black, Hispanic, Native American, gardening is where it is. That's what our grandparents did, our great-grandparents, our ancestors, that's all they did, right? Because they didn't have supermarkets. So when the supermarket chain, big chain stores came around, that's when we got lazy, man. It was easy enough to just go buy a tomato, buy some lettuce, buy some cabbage. Well, the farmers paid attention to, okay, the consumer is now, they're not gardening at home. Now they're coming to the store. So they just... right now, we got to produce all this right now. So they bought, you know, they got 100 acres, 200 acres, and they were growing, you know, tomatoes in 3 weeks. Then they figured out the pesticides and the steroids. And now that 3-week plant is growing all the way to maturity in 2 or 3 days. And then they're just feeding the stores, and then we're just going down, poisoning our bodies. So, moved to a house in downtown Buckeye in 2007, about 2008. Started gardening. Grew up with my grandma gardening, my mom dabbling in gardening a little bit, and had some tomato plants growing. And I'm out there picking weeds, not even paying attention. Didn't even realize tomato plants growing. pulled them right out of the dirt.
Mm.
My wife came out. You pulled up the tomato plants. I'm like, what? Because this all looks like weeds
Right.
when they're seedlings.
Right.
They didn't
Yeah.
pay attention.
Right.
So years go by. We're still doing the same thing everybody else is doing, going down to the supermarket, doing all that. Well, I move up to a new house in Buckeye, and got my backyard redone. I'm like, I'm gonna just make this specifically to gardening, and did that, and it took off. Well, we live in a 1-story house, so there's 2-story houses around me. My neighbors hit me up, hey, I see you growing this, and I'm like, stop looking at my backyard. See you growing this, see you growing that,
Quit peeping.
Yeah.
Did you quit peeping?
Yeah, and then it turned into, hey, you got some lettuce for my turtle, or hey, you got another head of cabbage or something like that. And I'm just kind of thinking, I'm like, man, I need to turn this to a business, and did that. I did it in, I guess, for lack of better words, perfect timing. So started my LLC in September of 2019, and then COVID hit in March, April of 2020.
Right.
Stores shut down. Everybody wants to eat healthy. So instantly, I put it out there. Got my social media pages up and jumping, and people just started filtering in from there, and then it boomed from there until what we got now, or you get on my pages what you see now, plus a little more produce boxes and juicing, and it turned into that whole thing. All natural, man. I say our produce is better than quote unquote organic because we do zero pesticides at all. Organic, what you see in the store, USDA organic and all that, they still have a little bit of pesticides, steroids. You just have to be under a certain number, right, to be considered USDA. And so we're all natural. We amend the soil. We make sure the soil is good and healthy. We're up at Arizona Worm Farm getting all the worm castings. We're letting the bees do what they do. But if a caterpillar is on a head of lettuce and it eats through that head of lettuce, we're harvesting the rest, knocking that caterpillar off and washing it and going about our business.
So do you still grow out of your backyard, or do you have another plot of land that you're growing out of?
So I have several. Plots of land that I don't own, and yes, I do still grow out of my backyard. My backyard turned into just what we're eating in my family. You know what I mean? And me and my mom trade. My mom gardens, so she got a head of lettuce, and Shire wants a salad, and all we got are beets or onions or something. We'll trade like that. I got a plot of land out in Tonopah that a guy owns. And then an acre out in Rainbow that another guy owns. He lets me set up his garden. I set up a garden, and he goes out there and gets what he wants when he wants. He's done to charge me anything. Okay. And then that way I have enough to still get my produce boxes out for $25, right? Otherwise, families that are on cash assistance, EBT, stuff like that, they're not going to the store and buying the organic head of lettuce for $8. You know what I mean? So I pack 6 or 7 bundles of whatever produce I have and get it out for $25, $30.
So before we get further into kind of the delivery and the access that you're providing, I want you to kind of go back to something you said earlier on as far as when it comes to the stores, because I worked in produce for quite some time, no longer do, but one of the biggest questions that was always asked is like, what's the difference, right? Like, people that are trying to eat healthy, even in some of the lesser communities, right, less fortunate communities, there's, people are trying, you always see people that are like, man, like, what I'm eating is crap, and I need to try to transition, even if it's just going to a Fry's or a Ralph's or whatever, right? But you find, like you said, even in the good stuff, there's a lot of filler, right? There's a lot of steroids. There's a reason why you're getting, Roma tomatoes that are being shipped to these warehouses, to these stores that are 40 pounds of, and they're able to move that consistently, right? And that's not a natural thing. For anybody who's ever had an orange tree or a lemon tree, it's a process for these things to happen. So talk about kind of what are people getting in the stores as opposed to what you're providing and what real true gardeners and farmers are providing?
So first of all, and like you said, you can see it because of the size. So if you're going to the store and you're seeing jalapenos as big as your hand, or you're seeing the world's biggest pumpkin at 140 pounds, and you're seeing tomatoes the size of grapefruits, you know right off the bat, steroids.
Okay.
You're getting steroids. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They can have that USDA stamp on it, but you're getting steroids, right? The other one is if you get this perfectly round, perfectly red tomato with no holes, no dents, no nothing like that, then that means some kind of insecticide or pesticide is on that. If the bugs ain't eating it, you shouldn't eat it. You know what I mean? If you got this beautifully round shape baby watermelon that has, you can't even tell where the stem was, you can't tell where it grew from the actual plant to what the top and bottom is, you should not be eating that stuff. Everything is seedless now. I don't even know when we.
I was going to ask you that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't know when we transitioned to seedless. I might have been too young, but seedless watermelon, seedless grape, seedless whatever, cantaloupe. Yeah,
right.
You should not be eating that. That means that it was manufactured outside of a garden or outside of a farm, right? So these are lab grown, and they still grow as the plant, but nature tells you that it's a male and a female, right? So that plant that has the seed is the female that you replant, and you can keep growing and growing and growing like that. So you should never cut open a watermelon and a seedless, and then you eat it and say it's good. It might taste good, but it ain't good for you.
Right, right.
Sure.
So your page, man, is tremendous, and I love the fact that you're talking about the plots of land that you have that are kind of spread out, because I think that's dope of having kind of that barter system. You know, I think we've gotten away from that. Everything is a cash transaction, money transaction, and to be able to have that barter system is incredible. But I love your page because, you know, you cover everything, and for anybody who has not, hopefully they will run right over there and check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
You cover everything from the beginning to the end, and then not only that, but the uses. Right? You know, it's not just, okay, we've got this harvest of garlic and I'm going to use this garlic for my pasta or whatever. I'm also going to make this into a garlic powder that I can use. Everybody's got freaking garlic powder.
Yeah.
And they're spending $10.99 on a 4-ounce, 8-ounce bottle, right?
Yeah.
And not understanding that $10.99 they could have spent $4.99 planting it themselves and had multiple uses for it.
Yeah.
Talk to us about kind of your passion for the educational side of it, because you could just be like, look, come here and buy this from me, and that's a very simple way to operate as a business. But you're not really doing that. You're showcasing what you're doing on the operational side.
Yeah. So, and that goes back to the barter system, right? So I don't necessarily want to grow everything that I eat. Right now we have to, because, you know, the masses of people aren't. So if I could stick to and perfect green beans, and then you grow and perfect cabbage, and you grow and perfect lettuce, then we have this in constant rotation all the time. And then the homie down the street grow and perfect carrots, and then, you know what I mean? We have this in constant rotation all the time. We get somebody that's raising cattle and they're ready to slaughter some Angus, and just we can keep this going no matter what, and we won't even have to touch a store. You know what I mean? And so that's the biggest part of the education I want. Plus, diabetes is rampant in the black community, right? And so if we can catch them at a younger age and make gardening look cool and this and that, because everybody thinks of farmer overalls old, and you know what I mean? Make it look cool and start getting the youth to start growing. Then we got a whole generation coming up doing the same thing I just described, but on a large scale. We'll be in there, man, and healthy.
And the honest truth about it is, if you do your research, gardening, especially in the black community, is a large part of our history.
Yeah, for that.
Especially here in the United States. Like, the way that food as we know it today has come about, anybody can do their research, there's documentaries, and it's Googleable, you know what I'm saying? came from the slave trade and what they were able to provide and the recipes that were brought over from Africa and other countries. And so, you know, that is the history. Black people are the gardeners. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like much else has been lost and forgotten. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's amazing. I know you're doing a lot of work in the community. How much of the homegrown are you working with? Because you just mentioned like the meat shops and stuff like that. Like, are you starting to expand specifically to businesses where you're kind of working hand in hand with them? Like, how's that going?
So not meat shops. I'm trying to stay away from. Well, let me take that back. I'm trying not to work with. I won't work with any big chain. So if we have a mom and pops, a local vendor, somebody, another entrepreneur, that's who I'm working with, and we can all do our exchanges, get money together, and that's where. And I'll never get into selling meat, man. The USDA got that unlocked. You know what I mean? So that'll never be something I promote. I do that if I know of a farmer or somebody's raising cattle, and they're getting ready to slaughter. I'll let my family know, and hey, we want, a quarter cow or half that cow, and then we go like that. But I'm with anybody raising chickens, goats, you name it, beef. I'll give you 3 boxes of produce. You give me 4 steaks or something like that. That's what I'm really into.
Are you working with like mom and pop restaurants as well? Like, is that something that's kind of trickling into it instead of like going direct to consumer, right? Like, so. Yes, people can buy the boxes from you, right? But are you starting to work with maybe more like small restaurants, especially out here on the west side, that, are in need of local produce that's good for them that they can sell in their recipes as they put it to their customers?
So no, the short answer is no. And the reason behind that is the amount of produce they need right off the bat. So if I have 10 heads of cabbage, in my mind, I'm like, that 10 heads of cabbage needs to go to 10 families. That, you know what I mean? That might not, they're on cash, they're on EBT instead of swiping that card and going to the store. Let's figure out a way I can get that 10 head of cabbage to that 10 families versus just one stop at a restaurant. But that is the goal. Once I get everything established and get more land, that is the goal, to go to the smaller restaurants and start hitting them. So that way, when people are out on dates, they're also eating healthy, or you know what I mean, taking their family after church, they're also eating healthy.
Nice. I got some, and you can school me on this, because I know like trees, like lemon trees, orange tree, stuff that grows on trees is very seasonal. Is stuff like cabbage, tomatoes, and stuff? Is that year round stuff? Like, could you maybe expand upon like what? Is stuff actually year-round out here, or is it very seasonal of what you can get? So
everything is seasonal. Everything that we grow and sell, grow and donate is always going to be seasonal. And that's one of the downsides. And people hit me in the middle of the summer like, hey, I need some heads of lettuce. I need some kale. Those are winter crop. Fall crop is what they call them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if you think about it this way, everything that goes towards the sun, so your citrus, your tomatoes, your peppers, your everything like that is going to be a warmer crop, a warmer plant. Everything that bushes out, your greens, your cabbage, your kale, carrots, your onions, garlic, those are winter crop. So if that's kind of the basis,
because that's always
kind of the basis.
Very curious about.
Now like then we get to Arizona's weather, right, where it stays hot. 8 out of the 12 months, we can grow our summer crop a little longer than, let's just say, the East Coast, somewhere where they're getting snow. They have a hard date that they're cutting off, and you better not try to grow tomatoes or.
Is there stuff out here specifically in Arizona that is just not growable out here?
I'm challenged with avocados and mangoes.
Man, I love avocados.
Yeah, I know. If I can get an avocado tree going, so we can get a tree going, but it don't do too good at producing.
It doesn't like the heat.
Is it the humidity?
It's the lack of
humidity.
Yep. So they need to constantly stay moist, and that's why California got the market sewed up because they need to constantly stay moist. And the only way to do that is to, set up a mister system or something like that and skyrocket your water bill a little bit. But we're going to keep experimenting with that because we got to. If we can do it once, man, that's all I need. I'm gonna have all the avocado trees all throughout.
Man, man, these people out here with the damn avocado toast, man. That's it. People out here with the avocado toast, they gonna be hitting you up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that's what I struggle with. Everything else, man, we're pretty good. Obviously, the summer crop is like that. That makes you feel like everybody's a master gardener, man. You throw some okra, throw some eggplant. Those will last. They're drought tolerant and heat resistant up to like 130 degrees.
Wow.
And they're just producing, just like, what I mean? Constantly producing. So
is there a way to store some of this stuff?
Yeah, so I'm
especially like the fall and winter stuff?
So I'm into vacuum sealing. Like in the next couple days, I'm going down to my community garden that we'll talk about in a little bit, and in my backyard. I'll harvest all that. I'll vacuum seal it up and throw it in my deep freezer until probably next winter.
Oh, wow.
It'll last about a year, you know what I mean? And so we'll eat it throughout the summer and we'll have some left over.
If somebody were to start in their backyard, I'll keep it kind of in the warmer climate to the West Coast, what would you recommend somebody starting out doing, like in their backyard, like something easy, something, like might be low maintenance, that would grow pretty good. You kind of touched on it, the drought resistant and stuff like that, in case you forgot to water it or whatever. Kind of starting out, what would you recommend like those plants would be?
So tomatoes are always, tomato is more like a weed anyway.
Okay.
So tomatoes grow, and if you've ever seen somebody's garden where they just didn't maintenance their tomatoes, man, you got a tomato plant that'll stretch from here to there, just full of tomatoes. Eggplant, that's another one. But okra, if you like okra, that is the plant to grow. Very, very low maintenance, no trimming, no nothing like that. And you're picking okra probably twice a day. At the height, yeah.
Wow.
At the height. And 115 all the way down to 70, 60 degree weather. So I would definitely start with that. Squash, summer squash does really good down here. They get kind of finicky, but once they mature after about probably a month and a half, they're good to go. They'll take off.
So for some educational purposes, again, because a lot of people are going to hear terms like summer squash, fall squash. Some people don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
Okay. So explain to people that don't know, and it doesn't matter what age. Okay. I found some people that are in their 50s and 60s, be like, I want a summer squash. Yeah. What kind of summer squash? It's different kind. So explain to people like the difference between like your summer squashes, your fall squashes, like some of these things that have a large family, but the growth seasons are different. They're different types of vegetables.
Yeah. So, and I couldn't even sit here and name all the squash or all the tomatoes that, man, there's thousands of them. But basically the difference is when you're going to get that first flower or when you're going to get that flower. So summer squash, obviously you're going to get that flower in the spring up to the dead heat of the summer, and then winter is the opposite. You're going to get that flower in the fall to the dead of winter, and that's basically
like your zucchinis, your yellow squashes. That's going to be your softer squashes.
Yep,
summer squash.
Yep,
exactly. And then so you can't be looking for spaghetti squash in July.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why people start their pumpkin in Arizona anyway. People start their pumpkins either too early or way too late because pumpkin is a squash, right? And they want it by Halloween, so they're like, I'm gonna start this in the middle of the summer. Well, that's super hot. That plant ain't even gonna make it to maturity to get that flower to get your pumpkin.
And if you've noticed too, the pumpkin season is getting shorter and shorter, because of the heat's just lasting
exactly
long. Like we're still in the hundreds, especially here in Arizona. We're in the hundreds until October.
We have a very small window, and I say very small, but we have a 2 to 4 month window to get our winter stuff in the ground, get it mature before that first frost comes. Because even though they're winter crop at a seedling, man, that first frost to kill them.
So, talk about Village Community and Rec Center. Just give us kind of the info on that, and that's where you have your community garden as well. Is there? Mm-hmm. Okay, so talk to us about Village Community and Rec Center.
So let me straighten that out. Our community garden is less than a block away from where we're going to build our rec center.
Okay,
so that's a whole different plot of land. So Village Community and Rec Center, we started that in October of 2020 or 21. I can't even remember now. Got my family together. It was 2020 because George Floyd just happened. All civil unrest. Everybody's black and white this, and it just got way crazy. Well, what kind of made me want to form a village is just watching my family and my friends on social media. You know what I mean? Everybody's talking about, if I was George Floyd, I would have did this, or man, we need to get out and do this. Everybody's just talking and posting about it. Nobody's actually doing it. So got together with my family and said, let's just start this community center. It's always been on my aunt's heart and mind to do it. Everybody gets caught up in their everyday work and their kids and families and whatnot, and we just buckled down and did it. Got the nonprofit 501c3 established by the feds.
Okay.
And then we just took off from there, man. We start doing just little things around downtown Buckeye because that's where our focus mostly is, and that our focus is now grown. But started doing little things downtown Buckeye, and it took off because there's nobody. There's nothing. I don't want to say nobody. There's nothing in the downtown area that people can just reach out and say, hey, you got, a pair of pants. Hey, you got a pair of shoes. There's nothing like that. We used to have programs for that, but it just kind of died off. The city grew, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I was growing up, it was 20 to 50,000 people. Now we got 100,000+ people. So it just grew like that. And not to the fault of the city, but they just couldn't keep up with the growth, and then also keep up with building brand new buildings, and also the people that are underserved or needing help to that extra help. So we picked it up, and we partner with All Faith Food Bank down there that they do wonders. You know what I mean? They keep it going 24/7.
Okay.
They're always serving the public. Myrna's Place, she's another one. She actually donates to. She's a nonprofit that donates to nonprofits.
Oh wow!
And we just keep that going. Partner up with the city. Partner up with the Buckeye PD Fire Department, and that's what it is, man. And we're gonna keep pushing that.
What's the target time for getting your building and stuff like that?
So the target time was 2020. Obviously, inflation destroyed us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in the planning stages, we're like, cool. We can get a 2,600 square foot building for about $130,000 or something like that. And then by the time we got everything in order, start getting quotes out there, it spiked to $330,000 right off the bat. And just starting out, we couldn't get federal grants because you got to be 3 years old, and the city didn't really want to give us grants because they're like, you just started in October, you're asking for money in March of 2021. Are you really a nonprofit that's going to do good? You know what I mean? So we just had to tough it out, and now we got a bunch of plans. We're going to a bunch of different options now. We're actually looking at tiny homes and something like that, because we got about a quarter of an acre lot right there on the corner, right on 5th Street and Century, and we're just looking at a bunch of options right now to get us up and going, and then we'll worry about that big beautiful building that we all have in the back of our mind. We'll worry about that in a little bit, because we do tutoring programs, and shout out to the Chamber of Commerce, Buckeye Women's Club, Faith, Hope, and Love Community Church. We've used them. So every year we're doing tutoring programs where we got about 60 kids, and we're just kind of plopping them in this building and going from there.
Is there any community sourcing that would be any type of fundraiser? I mean, obviously now with the GoFundMe's, there's different options out there virtually.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've ever thought about?
Yeah, so we actually got them out there. It's just I think after COVID, everybody got burn out on the GoFundMe's and
I can see that.
we're raising money this and we're doing it this way. So we just put the hustle on us, man. We do yard sales and we do big community events like we just had the block party. So raise funds that way. We just gotta keep the hustle up. But we tried the community sourcing and it worked out. People's just burnt out on it, man. Yeah. And not only that, the economy, everybody's living paycheck to paycheck right now, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's just what it is.
Your love of Buckeye is strong.
Yes, sir.
And for people who are not familiar with Arizona, or even if you're familiar with Arizona, that doesn't mean you're familiar with Buckeye. Like I tell people where I live, and they're like, "Where?"
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm like, when you pass the 303, they're like, "Oh,
that's way out there."
I'm like, "Yeah, I'm almost in Cali."
Yeah.
But it's an area that is now growing, like you said, tremendously. Even to the point where it's like, is it Goodyear? Is it Buckeye? It's kind of in that little area right there. Yeah. There's warehouses that are going up. There's plans for more homes to go up. Infrastructure is only going to get hopefully better. And then you just have this niche area of what the real Buckeye is, right? Like you said, downtown. What I've known Buckeye to be for years. And it's this area that's kind of off the grid, right? Like, there's spots in the greater, I think about the Chandlers and I think about the Gilberts that were kind of off the grid, but people knew about them.
Right.
How important is it to you to kind of give Buckeye its flowers, so to speak? I know I'm dropping garden and bars on bro.
for sure.
I'm dropping. You got a green shirt on. I'm dropping garden and bars, but no, serious business. Like to really showcase Buckeye because you are heavily involved in that area, Buckeye specifically.
Yeah. That just goes. I'm third generation, right? My grandpa. I'm third generation on my mom's side, fourth generation on my dad's side.
Okay.
Of what we know as Buckeye, the downtown area, right? Okay. But the reason I want to bring awareness or showcase or put the spotlight on the downtown areas because that's where culture is built. You know what I mean? I heard one of the city officials say they don't want Buckeye to be a sleeper city, which means that people live here but work elsewhere and nightlife elsewhere and restaurants elsewhere, and then come back here and go to sleep, and then get up and do the same thing.
I'm glad that was said. Yep.
Yeah. So, and I want to make and it's gonna happen, right? They got to bring the nightlife and the bars and the whatever people like to do, the kids fun zones. They got to bring that to Buckeye through Buckeye expanding. I want to keep the spotlight on the downtown area because that's where actual face-to-face culture is built. I could tell you how many people around this area don't even know their neighbor's name. Only see their neighbor when they're taking out the trash, bringing the groceries, pulling in from work. Downtown, that community, they can tell you everybody from, the beginning of the road all the way down the mile. Yep. Pancho lives here, Rachel lives here, Edgar lives here, Jose lives here, you know what I mean? All their kids playing. I want to keep that and showcase that because the homeowners down there been in Buckeye 40, 50 years, you know what I mean? Right. There's no brand new moving from another state moving to downtown Buckeye. They're all moving up to the the new Buckeye, the Verados, the Sundances, the Riata West. So that community feel will never leave if I have something to do with it.
And I think it's needed, right? Because if you look at the areas of Phoenix, you still have a downtown Glendale that's held its course for many years, right? It's almost untouchable. You still got downtown Phoenix, untouchable. Downtown Scottsdale, untouchable.
Thanks.
And I think that's important to hold that, right? And I think what you're doing in keeping the culture going, and showcasing, and this is important, and it goes without, it needs to be said, is the black culture of that, right? Because if we don't put ourselves in there, then it's going to get lost, and our voices won't be heard in those situations, right? And you along with the gardening, along with the community center, you're very, very active with the people of the community that are in positions to make choices, right? Or at least put pen to paper on certain things and vote on certain things.
And even if they don't know if they're in that position now, hopefully what they can get behind us and follow and then elevate to that position, then that's what we need. We need to build a team. But I had this council person tell me at the beginning when we first started VCRC, she said, oh yeah, when we built the new rec center, which is city owned, we didn't get any engagement from the black and brown community. And when she said that, a light went off in my head, and I'm like, everything they built, there was no engagement. I don't blame them for that because we didn't put ourselves up there to be like, hey, you need to listen to what we got to say because we just fell back and whatever happens, whatever, And but now, man, if they ain't giving us a spot at the table, we building a table right next to theirs, butting it up to theirs, and we making the plans.
So what's the plans going forward? Like what is the future looking like for not only homegrown and delivery, but for VCRC as well? So
with homegrown and delivery, man, I'm just trying to push these either produce boxes or produce in general, just like mass. I want everybody to just start, not only just to order from me, but start gardening. Let's start figuring out ways to stay out of these stores that they're all about. It's capitalism, man. They're all about the profit and how much they can gain. That is my ultimate goal. But then with VCRC, once we get the rec center actually built, we'll have that safe place where we can just bring teenagers in, bring seniors in, and just chill out and learn and have fun and do whatever. Right now, our biggest focus is the community garden. Okay. So we're about to switch seasons, right? We're about to get ready to start planting. I'm trying to get everybody to come down there and start renting out boxes and getting their garden beds going. Because the goal is to get enough garden beds that when we do our farmers markets, we can start handing out bags or boxes of produce for free.
Go into the community garden a little bit, because that's just an interesting idea of having people do different crops and, like you said, set up their own boxes, be able to grow their own stuff. So what really is the community garden? Because it sounds easy to understand, but explain it to the people out there.
So it's Sprouted Seeds Community Garden, and it's on 4th Street in Clanton. Okay. So if anybody wants to map that out, it'll take you right to that spot. But the goal of it is just to get the community to come out to one central spot. Okay. You'll have whatever produce is in season, we're going to grow it. And then from there, once we get the community to come out, which it's been there for almost a year now, they're starting to just come out. We got a guy going down there every other day over watering the plants, but he's doing his thing. Okay. He just popped up, man, got our water bill sky high. But he just popped up and started watering plants. But that's what we want, right? We want that engagement of the community. So they're starting to come out. The biggest thing, what I want to do is, like I said, I want to fill up enough beds and enough space to where when we have our farmers markets down there, somebody, hey, I don't got $20 for a food box. All right, here, let's pack this box with 4 or 5 types of produce and give it to you. And that will be all off what the community did. So I want to make it to where when people are down there, they're not only, picking off some tomatoes or some peppers for dinner tonight, they're also learning how this came from a seed, right? So we got it set up right now. All Faith, the food bank, has 2 or 3 boxes. The Buckeye Family Resource Center has 2 boxes, and they're on top of it, man. They have their clients down there almost daily with their families down there watering and doing all that.
Not to get too woo-woo, I guess. Okay. But I think in my life, in particular, is the fact of getting back to stop Earth being more grounded, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like, I think it's what's missing in everybody's life, in a sense, right? Is you're putting your hand back into the earth, right? And it almost grounds you in a way, right? Like, I don't know if you heard the thing of like, take off your shoes and walk in the dirt or walk in the grass. It almost grounds you. It, you get the energy from the earth and stuff like that. Do you get that sense of feeling? And then watching people as well, putting their hands, in the dirt and kind of planting seeds and stuff like that.
Yeah, so not almost ground you, it does ground you. Scientifically, it's a scientific fact. It does ground you out. So, I get that right off the bat as soon as I'm digging and putting my hands down there. My biggest enjoyment is watching the kids that come from whatever neighborhood up here, Verrado, and they're clean, and as soon as they touch that dirt, it's just like they're a kid again, what I mean? Dirty and dusty, and they just got their hands filthy. Yeah. That's the enjoyment I get, man. And even down to when we had our our seed planting day, parents out there, what I mean? They just brought their kids just to get out the house, and they're kicked back on the fence, or they're back over at their car chilling, then all of a sudden they're down on their knees in the soil and doing all that. But that's what it is, man, and that's what it's about. But that grounded feeling that's everything, man. You get that energy from the earth. Not only that, you put the seedling in, and then you circle back around in about a month or two, and that seedling actually has fruit on it, and that's the biggest.
Yeah, it's like almost like an accomplishment. Yeah, and or you're going, man, I put my time into this plant and look at it. It's like almost having like a child in some sort of sense, right? Like watching it grow,
watching it mature. So it's a joke in the garden world that man, I spent $87 for 37 cents of tomatoes. You know what I mean? But those tomatoes taste so much better because you put your work in, you put that plant in the ground, you watered it, you nurtured it every day, all the way down to, man, I talk to my plants, and it sounds crazy to people, but back there, you're talking to plants when she's watering the garden, back there talking to the plants, man, they hear that because plants are alive.
So I was going to ask you, how much is the United Dance Team dancing around the plants? You know what I'm saying? To get these vibrations going.
Not yet, but that's where it's at.
That's a good idea,
man. Yeah, they
tomatoes start growing real quick, man.
Yeah, man. But they actually say the plants know, like when you're out cutting the fruit off, the plants actually scream.
Yeah, we were just talking about this.
And they send those signals to other plants, and that's why it's kind of an unwritten rule that when you're going to go out and you're trimming and you're doing all this to your plants, to just not butcher them, because you're doing it to this one plant. This plant over here can hear that screaming and that stressing out of plants, and you can actually watch your plants start withering and dying away from stress. Keep them happy and healthy.
That's crazy.
And they'll produce for you.
Just a real quick story. I work with a lot of native people, and particularly the Hopi tribe, and they're up in the northern part of Arizona, in Colorado and New Mexico, up there in Four Corner area. And they do that. That's what their dances are. And I just learned this, not too long ago, and that, it's just the frequency in there, it's just so fascinating that there's actual scientific proof, right, of vibrational, right, that and then they figured out a long time ago that if we dance and make these vibrations, our plants will grow. Yeah. And I just find that so fascinating. It's so cool. And it kind of just all kind of comes back around to just being more earthy. Yeah. Bringing you back around to the things that matter, on this planet. Yeah. And I think I have to commend you, man, for, bringing it back to the community and, the kids and the parents jumping in and involving it, because I think we all, even if it's for just a little bit of time, I think it's very important for all of us to kind of reroute ourselves back to the planet.
That's a fact. Yeah, and just that little bit of time, it gives you such a high or whatever, that little bit of time today turns into a little bit of time. Next Tuesday turns into a little bit of time. Next Thursday, and then all of a sudden you're in that full cycle, man, and it becomes addicting.
Yeah, and I think that's why people have houseplants too, right? Because they want to at least put their hands in some kind of soil, right? And then just watch that grow as well. If it's not producing any fruit or, vegetable or anything, but you want to see that house plant grow. You know, I think we're all kind of chasing that in some sort of way.
As long as we don't do it like our grandmas did and just had a whole house like a jungle.
Yeah,
That used to be,
everywhere.
Yeah, that's
it used
right.
to be wild. You
Tripping
know
all
what
over
I'm saying?
grass and everything.
Come on now. Like, grandma, that vine been there since 1947. Let's talk about that one go. You know what I'm saying? You got 5 cactuses on the windowsill. Come on now. You know what I mean? I think the first thing we gotta do, man, when the rec center, you know, is in full effect, man, we gotta do concerts at the Garden.
Man,
you know
we doing it. Let's do it, man.
You know, and we need to go snatch up some of these rappers and put a list together. You know what I'm saying, and make it happen. But nah, man, Jeremy, you know, I've told you personally, man, just how much I admire what you're doing.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. Thank you.
not just you, but your wife as well, and what you guys are doing out in the community. And again, I love the way that you're showcasing it in the sense of it's not a come get something from me type of deal. It's how can I do something for you and how can we do something together? Yeah. I've seen you work with other farmers. I've seen you at these events, and to see some of the pictures of you being the only black person at these events, black farmer, for you to be a certified master gardener is incredible. And what you're doing, man, is so important and so many times goes unheard and unseen. And you know, you already know the business with us, man. Like anything we can do, if we can be there, we've been trying to get at some of these events. Just the timing is like always crazy. But if we do have time, we're trying to be better at like planning it out. We definitely will get out there in any way we can throw people that way for sure. I mean, you already know, connected you with Anthony Freeman, a great brother of ours.
Greatly appreciate that.
And so I can't wait to see what you do going forward. And we wish you the utmost success, man.
Absolutely.
The utmost success.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Before we get out of here, is there anything we missed? Anything you want to talk about, let us know about, let the people know about before we get out of here?
Nah, just y'all head down to the community garden, especially if you're in the Buckeye area. We will be doing an Earth Day down there. A little late in the planting season, but we will let the kids plant some seedlings, and that's April 27th, I believe, starting at 9 o'clock. But if you get down there April 27th, pretty much from morning to mid-afternoon, we'll be down there digging in the dirt, planting seeds, raking up weeds, pulling weeds, doing the whole 9 garden thing.
Awesome.
Let them know where they can find you.
So Instagram and TikTok is Homegrown Buck, and then Facebook is Homegrown and Delivery.
I'm gonna sprinkle it down. You know what I'm saying? It's just video magic here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. Your door's always open.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you
come
guys
on
for having
through.
me. Thanks for the invite.
Stuff is happening, or events going on. Please come on through and talk about whatever is going on in the community and stuff like that. So we really do appreciate it, man. Everybody out there, you guys stay safe. You guys stay positive.
And as always, this is The Gray Space.
Peace.